Ethanol is a renewable source of transportation fuel. It's the alternative that we have available today to fossil fuels. Ethanol is grown through energy crops, corn being a current example, on the surface of the earth. We are using the existing carbon cycle on the planet's surface. Crude oil, fossil fuels, relies on drawing that carbon out of the earth that's been there for millions of years, using it as a transportation fuel and introducing additional carbon to the atmosphere. That's the greenhouse gas value of ethanol. In addition, it is truly a renewable resource. It's a crop that the farming communities around the world can recreate every year without adding to the greenhouse gas problem. Fossil fuels is a limited resource. We've seen in gasoline prices, crude oil prices, both the cost of not only more and more difficult extraction, but because what's being extracted is not of the quality it was decades ago, more and more expensive costs associated with refining. There is no long-term solution associated with fossil fuels. The future is alternatives. The Johnstown plant, being Canada's largest ethanol plant, has a major impact on the local area. Our Johnstown facility purchases corn direct from farm as well as through the traditional elevator system. The Direct from Farm program is a new program put in place by Greenfield and is being very well used by local farmers. The transportation industry in the area benefits greatly. There are some 55 trucks a day that move the feedstock into our plant, as well as the ethanol out of our plant. And the development, when you produce ethanol, you also produce a very high value, high protein animal feed, which returns to the farming community and is used primarily in the feeding of cattle, chickens, etc. So we have a full circle impact on the local farming community. Ethanol produces a co-product, a feed. It's a high protein, high fat value feed. What we basically do is borrow the corn from the farmer, remove the carbohydrates, the starches and the sugars, and return it to them in a form that is much more effective and efficient for them to feed their animals. They have no offset. The difference between ourselves and oil is we use a carbon cycle that's on the surface of the planet. Plants breathe in CO2 and exhale oxygen, and we're in that closed loop. Fossil fuels rely on digging down into the earth and introducing additional carbon to the atmosphere. That's the major problem. Some of the latest studies on greenhouse gas demonstrate that ethanol produced in state-of-the-art refineries, such as our Johnstown facility, reduce greenhouse gases by up to 60% when compared to gasoline. Well, ethanol reduces our reliance on traditional sources of crude oil and fossil fuels. It's truly an alternative. It has the contribution of a major reduction in greenhouse gases, but just as importantly, it provides jobs in Canada. It's an alternative fuel made from energy crops and refined in Canadian ethanol refineries. Ethanol is a viable source of income for Canadian farming families. It provides an industrial outlet for what was traditionally an agricultural product. The contribution of ethanol to reduction in greenhouse gases and being the equivalent at just a 5% blend level of removing 1 million cars from Canada's roads. Imagine if it was 10%, 15%, or up to 85% as they have in Brazil.